Ever felt that knot in your stomach just before Sunday morning worship? Well, today I'm going to share the exact framework that I've personally used, as well as taught to hundreds of worship guitarists to transform that anxiety into a quiet confidence without needing years of experience playing the guitar. Now, the first pointer is that you want to learn how to shift your focus outward. The reason that I say that is a lot of times when guitar players tend to get anxious and overwhelmed is because their whole focus is kind of inward. It's focused on what they're going to play, what they're going to sound like, and even focusing on the feelings of stress and anxiety and overwhelm as it relates to the task at hand. But when you can learn to focus outward, that's basically going to remind yourself of the fact that the purpose and the real reason that you are there on stage is not to perform. It's not to draw attention to yourself, but instead it's about pointing to Jesus and not yourself. You are there to serve the congregation and also to function as a modern day Levite as it relates to worshiping God and ministering to the Lord. So what you can do is you can engage in a visualization exercise where you are on stage, but you're really there serving the congregation rather than performing for them. You know what? You don't have to impress anybody. Instead, you can just focus on the audience of one, as some people call it. It's really you are there to lift up your skills, your abilities, your gifts and your talents to worship God and to really praise Him, and also create an environment that other people can then go ahead and engage in so that they too can express their love and adoration to God. So traditionally, when you are up on stage, when we go and watch a gig as guitar players, if you go and watch some of your favorite guitar players, then you are there to go ahead and go and watch a performance. There's an element of entertainment involved. I remember seeing some of my favorite guitar players going to some of their gigs. For example, Derek Trucks, I saw him with his full band in London many years ago, and it was an amazing experience. I literally went there to hear Derek Trucks play, to watch him perform his songs with his band, and it was an awesome experience. But when we go to a worship event, we don't really go there to go ahead and look at the guitar player or to go and listen to a show or to be entertained. Instead, the whole focus there is of worship, and it's not looking at the band in and of itself. So remember and remind yourself of that fact that when you're on stage, people are not coming to see you as a gig and to see you play. So you don't have to perform for anybody. You just want to make sure that you shift that focus outward. And then there's a saying that says when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's really changing the whole experience and environment of what you are there and what you are doing, because you are no longer focusing on yourself, but you are focusing outward. Next up, you want to practice praying while you are playing to maintain that spiritual connection. That might sound strange, but so many times I see guitar players get up on stage and then they get so into the mechanics of playing that they forget the message and the whole reason that they are there on stage. So when you can kind of maintain a spiritual connection there, that's going to really change the way that you're going to play in a very big way. I like to call it like this. You are encoding some kind of a spiritual impact into your musical notes, and people can go ahead and sense that. So do whatever you need to do, that throughout the act of worship, that you are not there just focusing on the nuts and bolts of your playing, but that you have something that can go ahead and help you maintain that spiritual connection. Because when you have that, the way you play, the notes you're going to play, the way it's going to sound, that's actually going to become exponentially better than if you were there just kind of going through the motions. The next technique is really to simplify your approach. Simple parts played with conviction is way better than complex parts played nervously. And also complex parts really can become a distraction on Sundays, because the thing is, you don't want to go ahead and try and impress anybody with a complex part. When you can learn to simplify things, maybe you're identifying like 2 to 3 different anchor parts in each song, then you can rely and use those similar techniques and approaches in different songs. So you don't have to literally learn a note-for-note part or memorization, but instead you can use more worship-focused approaches. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are some songs out there from a guitar point of view that especially with secular songs, that you really have to play the note for notes of the songs. I remember at my wedding, I played Always With Me, Always With You from Joe Satriani. I played that song at the wedding, and that song I had to memorize note for note because it's not a jamming song. It's a song with a melody, specific parts, specific things at specific times. And then a lot more time, effort, and attention goes into that process of memorizing a song like that and memorizing all the parts. Now, when it comes to worship guitar, that I typically find is not a good approach when you try and play things note for note like you would do with a song like I just mentioned. Instead, you want to embrace that whole less is more mentality because that's going to help you get greater impact with your playing. Rather think of your playing more like a shifting spanner. You're kind of adjusting the shape and size as you need it for different songs at different times. That kind of freedom and that more fluid approach is going to help you to be more in the moment and not be so worried about remembering note for note songs. Now, yes, sometimes when you play a specific song, there might be a hook, there might be an intro line. I'm thinking of Lion and the Lamb or a song like that. Then yes, you have to play those, but those are typically only for specific sections in a song. For the rest of the song, you want to learn to embrace that less is more mentality where you can kind of flow with the band and adjust as needed. And the next part is obviously there's a task at hand. We need to be able to perform certain things on the guitar, not as a performance, but as the act of actually playing. Now, it's very important to understand that when we play music, we are really relying on our muscle memory. That basically just means you want the motions and the actions to be automatic, much like when you drive a car. If you drive a manual gearbox car, you have to do many different things at the same time. But now I'm guessing if you do that, you can drive a car, you can navigate traffic, you can have a conversation, and all those things are happening on autopilot because of your muscle memory. So knowing this, you must find a way to practice the parts and techniques that you need to play worship until they become second nature. You know, it's possible that you can focus too much on learning a part and too little on the technique that you need to play that part without any thinking or without any problem. So you have to ask yourself, is it chord changes that's maybe lacking a little bit that you need to work on? Is it your picking? Is it your strumming? Is it your timing? Is it your rhythm? Is it the synchronization between the two hands? Whatever the mechanical nature of that is, you want to isolate that and then find some kind of a drill or an exercise that you can play over and over and over so that you can program the muscle memory. Because when the muscle memory and your motor skills are programmed to that extent, then you will not be as stressed to play certain things because your technique is there to support you and that you can rely on that technique. Something else that I've also found that helps a lot is having some kind of a pre-service preparation routine. This is all about using the right preparation beforehand. So we've spoken about simplifying your parts. We've spoken about changing your perspective, that it's not a performance, but you're there to serve. We focused about developing the technique and the muscle memory that you need in order to go ahead and play these things in the right way. Now, that's all about preparation and the right perspective. Now, it's possible also to add to all of that a pre-service preparation routine. And maybe it can comprise of just two things, your focus and your breathing. Because so many times what can happen is our focus can be scattered. Maybe we are late for the rehearsal. Maybe our gear is not set up. Maybe we didn't learn our songs. Maybe we got caught up in something else and our focus is not where it should be, which means you're not going to be able to rely on the skills that you already have because you don't have the focus that is really dialed in. So make sure the focus is right. Why are you there? What are you playing? And you can kind of use some kind of a mental rehearsal technique where you can see yourself up on stage playing the parts the way that you've got to play them, the way that they're going to go ahead and make an impact. So that's the focus, just really getting your mind in the game and making sure that you have the main thing to be the main thing. And then the second thing is very simple. You might even discount this as being too simple, but it's really the fact of just breathing. Making sure you take deep breaths and making sure that you get some oxygen into your body, because the whole act of intentional breathing can just help you to be in the moment, and it, in a way, it kind of regulates your nervous system so that you can be there and focus on the main thing. So even as you are playing, remember to take deep breaths, because when we are anxious, when we are stressed, we tend to revert to kind of shallow breathing, and then that in and of itself has a knock-on effect in terms of your overall state that you are there as it relates to what you have to do in the moment. So when you learn how to just take deep breaths and even just focusing on your breath as you're breathing in and out, that is a way to kind of direct your awareness and also helps you to dial in your focus. So I want to guarantee you that if you take these pointers that I've given you in this video, that it will make a massive impact in your ability to serve. Number one, it's going to also make a massive impact in your ability to develop and mine the potential that you have. And finally, it's going to make a massive impact in the fact that you know that you've done what is needed to get the job done, and for you to go ahead and show up and handle the task at hand with confidence and with conviction, and having a way that your skills are there to serve the moment and for you to express your deep admiration for God, for the kingdom, and for serving others. Because when you can do these things, then you are transitioning from merely just playing notes on the guitar to actually doing something way more sacred, which is really aligning with the purpose that we've been created for. The Bible says that if we don't cry out, or if we don't worship God, the rocks will cry out, right? So that God will be worshipped in the end. So it's best for us just to go ahead and do what's needed so that we can fulfill that role and function. And when we do that, there's a deep sense of accomplishment, not because of something that we've done, but it's just a response because of what God has done for us. So this video didn't have many technical things to go over in terms of chords and rhythms and licks and riffs and all these kind of things like we typically do on the channel. But I really believe that these elements and these tips that I've shared today can make a massive impact in your life and in your service as a worship guitarist. So maybe watch this video once more, take some notes, go ahead and apply these things in your own life, and then come back to the channel and let me know how that went for you, and if anything stood out for you, or if anything made a meaningful difference in your playing. So really hope you enjoyed that. And if you want to get technical, one of the best things that you can do in your playing is to learn to master the art of triads, and we've got a video for you about that. So I'll see you there in a second.